How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the half-human and half-Dragonoid? Huge shout out to Mayor Tanya von Degurechaff for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Elemental Nations. To think that his death was in the hand of a friend he considered as his brother, how sad. And naive. He had known Sasuke ever since they were, perhaps, 5 years old. He had even forgiven him for his attempt on killing him when they were 13. He had even chasing after him for the hope they could live life like the old days. How naive of him. Perhaps if not for Kurama, his life was already over even before he could reach age of 5 because of those villagers. And yet he was still looking for the villagers' acceptance. How naive of him. If only he did not pretend to be a loudmouth fool, if only he did not pretend to be forgiving, if only he did not pretend to be an easygoing person, if only he did not pretend to love that fool Sakura, if only he showed his true color. If only the old man Sandaime, the only one aside of Itachi's family, did not show him kindness. If only he did not follow the old man's guidance. But if he did not become a stupid loudmouth shinobi, his life was over. Because certainly a smart and calculating Jinchuriki was a danger to the village because they're hard to be tamed. He was naive. But perhaps that was not true, perhaps it was his loneliness that made him think like a naive person. Living alone, with no one to rely on. Perhaps death was better. Naruto sighed and averted his sky blue orbs to his left, where the corpse of Sasuke Uchiha laying with blood all over his body. At least he had managed to kill this fool as well. But it was a pity that they could not undo the Mugen Tsukuyomi. But well, who cares? He was going to die anyway. Sighing, Naruto shifted his sight to the right. "Nah, Kurama!" Naruto called for his only partner that was sitting on his right side. "Kakashi and that fool Sakura are still alive. Perhaps they can start making child to increase human population. Make sure that this evil world will not resurface." With that being said, Naruto Uzumaki, Azura reincarnation, breathed his last breath, leaving the Bijus and only 2 human behind. New world. Perhaps if a person who knew loneliness more than anyone else existed, that person probably was Milim Nava. She had lived her life for more than 2,000 years, she had lost her family, her maid, her pet, her friends, she had lost everything that could connect with her heart. She had witnessed their death. The feeling that burning deep in her heart had even awakened her as true demon lord, and her skill had evolved into ultimate skill, Wrath King Satan. Even so, her wrath could not swap away her loneliness, her sadness, her sorrow. The only thing she could do to hide it away was pretending. Pretending that she was a cheerful person, pretending that she was a short-tempered girl, pretending that she was no good at thinking. Perhaps this part was not a pretend. Pretending that her life was very much enjoyable. How sad. Milim sighed in a depressed sigh and walked through her land, a land that she technically ruled despite of never doing anything regarding its governing. Well, ruling was boring anyway, hence she let the people rule for themselves, and her job was just protecting them from danger that they could not handle. She aimlessly walked through the forest. She did not know why she was going this way, but somehow she found herself did just this. Perhaps there was something that would finally entertain her or something alike. With that thought, Milim walked further into the forest until finally a golden light particle forced her to halt. There, under a maple-like tree, a golden particle was gathering, forming a silhouette of a human being. It was a male human being with short, spiky blonde hair, and 3 thin, so thin that if Milim did not pay her full attention then she would not able to see it, whiskers like marks on his face. The male being was not in a good condition. Half of his right arm was missing, a piercing hole on his left chest, his shirt was dirted by blood, he was currently unconscious, and seeming would die if no help came to him. If it was her usual self, Milim would not give a single care toward that human, but somehow she had found her way toward that male's place. Milim stared at the blonde human, she could not help but somehow felt attracted to him. This male apparently would not win a beauty contest, but he was not bad looking either. Perhaps between 1 to 10 Milim would give him 8 for appearance alone. But that was not what attracted Milim. His half-opened eyelids were actually the one that attracted her attention. It showed the very feeling that Milim knew the most, the loneliness. Without her knowing, her right hand had found its place on his left cheek, gently caressing his tan-skinned cheek, as though he was her precious person or something alike. Milim's cheeks were slowly reddening when realization hit her. She hastily pulled back her right hand and gripped it with her left hand. What had possessing her to act like that, she wondered. It was better to leave him, she thought. However, her body could not be moved, as though it was not willing to leave this human. For once in her long life she did not know what to do, hence she was just staring at the blonde in utterly silence. It was about 5 minutes later Milim finally decided on what to do. She would save this human. With that in thought, Milim brought a knife she always carried in her pocket, a knife that was gifted by her father. She brought her left hand above the blonde's left chest, slightly above the hole that brought him to the near death. With the knife on her right hand she slashed her left hand, allowing the blood to leak and fall into the hole. Milim had no magic that could be used to heal, and so she used her blood. No one knew about her special blood that could heal any wound. It was the secret of why her regeneration ability was so fast that could make even Guy's attack to heal almost an instant. Right after pouring her blood, her left hand was already healed. Milim stared at her work. The hole on his chest was slowly regenerating, so was his right arm. His skin became lighter than before. Unfortunately, he was not showing any signs of consciousness. What should she do next? Should she leave him here on his own? Or should she carry him into her place? Because I miraculously have helped him, it is better to bring him with me as well, alright? Strengthening her resolve, Milim, with flushing face, finally decided to bring the man into her place. With her tremendous strength she carried him in bridal style, sprouting out her wings, and then took a flight toward her residence. A place she lived in. Days later, Milim's room. It had been 5 days since she healed and brought him here, and yet he was not conscious yet, as though something was holding him from regaining his consciousness. Milim sighed and stood up from her chair beside the bed. She then walked ahead toward her room's window. She opened the curtain and pushed the window, allowing the fresh night air to grace her elegant room. Milim lifted up her head to stare at the uncountable of the sparkling stars that painted the night sky. It was beautiful. And lonely. Despite there were so many of them, their distance toward each other was so great that made it impossible to reach. If they had consciousness, Milim had no doubt that the night sky would become a gloomy sight. Such was the loneliness. Ugh! That voice made Milim to turn back, her body facing up the man she took care of. It seemed he was about to regain his consciousness back. A little smile appeared on Milim's lips, not her usual carefree smile or her arrogant smirk either. It was a grateful smile, a smile she never shown before. Milim sat herself on the chair. Her eyes were fully glued to the blonde's face. She did not know since when had she became accustomed to stare at his face, but it mattered not, she did not find this as a boredom. Actually, it was quite the opposite. Looking at his unconscious face somehow felt nice. Her heart felt warm, as though there was a candle warming her heart each time she looked at him. Slowly, his eyelids finally opened, revealing 2 pair of beautiful sky blue irides for Milim to see. This time around, those eyes did not reveal anything but emptiness, as though its owner had lost the will to live. Hi! Milim could not help herself from keeping up her mouth, and thus voicing a stuttered greeting that embarrassed her. The man blinked his eyes for a few times before he finally shifted his sight from the ceiling toward a flustered Milim. He did not say anything but stared at her, as though he was studying her. And then after a few moments of silence, the man let a little smile on his face. Is it you, the one who saved me? He asked in a smooth and gentle tone. Milim nodded her head lightly. She could not dare herself from saying words without stuttering, moreover with that beautiful smile directed at her. It was unlike her to stutter, but it was hard for her not to. Thank you for saving my life. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, may I know yours? Milim Nava. Milim, can I address you that? In return you can call me Naruto. And Naruto. It sounded nice when you voiced out my name. Can you do it once more, Milim? Naruto. I think I told you that my name is Naruto, not Naruto. Perhaps you misheard me? Bah. Baka! Milim yelled and lifting up her right hand hitting Naruto's chest. The speed was so fast that caught Naruto off guard. As a result, the bed broke apart, and blood was leaking out of Naruto's mouth. It hurt, you know, Naruto said as he wiped the blood that leaking out of his mouth, and then he lifting up his left hand motioning Milim to help him stood. It was your fault, Milim said in a loud voice while ignoring his condition. Well, aren't you going to help me stand? Milim huffed and stood from her chair, stretching out her right hand and helped the blonde to stand. Well, at least you are strong enough to handle that hit, but that is to be expected since you are now had become half Dragonoid, thanks to my blood. Naruto smiled at hearing her proud words and accepted her offered hand. I then have to give you a reward for doing that, no? Asked Naruto right after standing. Oh, you can become my servant. I don't have any servant yet. Naruto shook his head lightly. That will not do. We have to think a proper gift for a beautiful lady such as yourself, don't you think so? Milim let her proud smile appear on her lips. It's good that you realize my beauty, though. I don't see anything you can offer other than to be my servant. Well, said Naruto with a mischievous smile plastering his lips. I have something else in mind. Do you want to hear it out? Naruto asked while at the same time shortening the distance between them. What is it? Milim daringly asked. She seemed to forget that her right hand was still in Naruto's left hand. Naruto squeezed Milim's right hand and downed his head to closely stare at her beautiful irides. Milim did not back down from the stare. She lifted up her head staring back at his beautiful eyes. How about a kiss from me? Next morning. This was the first time since forever Naruto Uzumaki made breakfast for someone other than himself. He could not help but admit that there was a pleasant feeling deep inside his heart, a feeling that warmed his heart. It took no longer than 15 minutes for Naruto to serve 2 bowls handmade miso ramen for him and his companion who was sitting on a chair not too far from his current place. He hurried up walking toward the pink-haired demon lord and put a bowl of miso ramen before her, and then walked toward another side of the table to take a seat and put another bowl on the table for himself. Naruto took his chopsticks and looked at Milim who was ready to devour the noodles. Wait! Yelled Naruto, stopping Milim from eating. What? Asked Milim impatiently. Her eyes were glaring at Naruto's. You have to at least have a manner when it comes to eating. Why should I bother with such nonsense? Naruto sighed in defeat. Follow my way of starting eating or I will never cook for you again, threatened Naruto while at the same time clasping both his hands together. Itadakimasu, said Naruto and began his breakfast. Milim frowned but did not complain. She clasped both her hands and muttered, Itadakimasu, in a slow voice before eagerly devoured the ramen. They ate in silence for a few minutes before both their bowls were finally empty. Not even a single noodle was there. How was it? Naruto asked with a little smile. Watching her eating reminded him of his stupid days. It's delicious, give me more. It can't be helped, ramen is just too good after all, Naruto said and went back to pick another bowl of ramen he had prepared in case if Milim wanted more. Milim's residence, White Wall Castle. Naruto stared at Milim. That was her 4th bowl of miso ramen. Watching her really reminded him of his stupid childhood though. If people think his former way of eating as disgusting, Naruto saw Milim's way as cuteness. Hence, he was content with just watching her alone. He did not know why, but he had never felt this attracted toward any female other than Milim. Ever since he landed sight at those blue eyes of hers, he had become so enamored by her, as though they're fated toward each other. Naruto really did not know why, but perhaps it was because of Milim's blood that ran through his vein, or perhaps the eyes that reminded him of his own. Naruto let a little smile appear on his lips. When I was your age, I mean when I was a child, I could devour more than 10 bowls of ramen. It seems you will not be able to defeat me. Milim finished her 4th bowl and shifted her sight from the empty bowl to Naruto. Then, give me 7 more bowls of miso ramen. She was actually almost full, but hearing Naruto could eat more than 10 bowls made her want to eat more. Perhaps some other time, you are almost full, right? Where will you store the next 7 bowls of miso ramen? I can manage it somehow. No, maybe when you grow. I mean when you get used to it, you will certainly be able to eat more than I can. For now, let us leave. I want to know more about this world. Perhaps you can tell everything you know, because I'm sure that a mighty demon lord such as yourself does possess much knowledge that people don't know of." Milim folded her hands on her almost flatted breast with a proud smile blooming on her thin lips. "I'm glad you know how good I'm, so I will tell you anything you want to know." With Milim agreeing to tell him about this world, the two then left the kitchen to a room where talking became much more pleasant. Of course, Naruto had taken out a plate of dango from his belongings scroll to sweeten Milim's mood as a way to make sure nothing was being hidden away from him. A few moments later. "So what you were telling me is that you are the ruler of this vast land, unnamed land that is known as Milim's dominion. This land's residents govern themselves, and above all that you are as the ruler do nothing other than defending the land should there's problem they can't handle. And they also misunderstand you as goddess and worship you who in truth is a demon lord. Anything else I'm missing? They give me so much gold for each year. Anything else? I can do as I please." "I see. What a mighty demon lord you are, Milim. So you finally understand, as expected of Naruto." Naruto let a tired sigh escape his mouth. They were currently sitting on the first floor of Milim house, at her guest room to be precise. Milim had been telling him about this new world and was just finished about telling this land she ruled over. Perhaps out of all people who ruled over some places he knew, the only one who never complained about anything was Milim, because simply she did almost nothing. What a mighty demon lord she was. "How about you show me this land? I will cook more ramen for this night should you willing to accompany me, what will you say?" "Let's go!" Milim exclaimed and walked toward the exit door of her majestic house, a palace-like house. "You are going out with that underwear?" asked Naruto in disbelieving tone. Milim tilted her head to the left with a somewhat cute question look. "What is wrong with that?" Naruto sighed and walked toward Milim who was about to go out. He looked down at her childlike form and then bended his knees to be able to look her eyes to eyes on the same level. "If you go out like that, there's a possibility people who don't know about you will treat you as a child. Not only that, but also something you don't want may happen to you. I will beat them down if they say I'm a kid. Also, what may happen to me?" Naruto lifted up his right hand and put his index finger on Milim's exposed stomach, making the girl's cheeks redden a bit. What are you doing? What do you think will happen if I trace my finger downward with nothing preventing it, Milim?" Naruto asked with a seductive voice while at the same time moving his finger downward tracing her exposed stomach. He stopped his finger just right above her underwear-like pants. Milim did not realize since when had she started holding her breath, but this feeling was so hard to control. Her heart beat faster than it's supposed to. She had no doubt that her cheeks was reddening. In all her life, this was the first time an opposite gender touched her lower stomach. No one dared to do what Naruto. Naruto widened his eyes when that cute moan escaped Milim's tiny mouth. He hastily looked at his finger only to find that his finger had somehow found its place on Milim's lower part. Blood arose in blinding speed, reddening Naruto's cheeks. "I am sorry, Milim!" yelled Naruto as he took his hand off of her womanly part and shifting his head, avoiding Milim's face. "I did not mean to touch it, as somehow my finger moved on its own." Milim had her mouth covered by both her hand. Her face was so red in both heat and embarrassment, and somehow she did not feel angry at all. It's odd, that oddness made her wanted to punch the blonde before her. Milim," Naruto stutteringly called, with eyes stealing glance at the pink-haired girl. Milim tried so hard to hide her feeling, and she downed her head to stare at the floor. Slowly her body was covered by crimson aura before finally she lifted up her right hand to deliver a punch toward the blonde's left cheek. Luckily for Naruto, his skill allowed him to read the speed in which Milim thrown her punch, and thus, he able to protect his left cheek with his left hand. Despite that, he was still being thrown away, destroying a few furniture, and finally was stopped by the walls. Milim did not stand still, she pursued the blonde to deliver another hit. Naruto groaned as he saw Milim was about to deliver another punch. Moving both his hands in weird motion, he then created barrier around him using his unique skill, Rune Master. The barrier was strong enough to repel Milim's punch, making the girl frown. Naruto did not waste the chance, and he created another rune that forced Milim to fall back first on the floor. Naruto then moved in blinding speed on top of Milim and captured both her hands. Much to his surprise, Milim did not retaliate. She shifted her head to the left, avoiding looking at him. "Are you perhaps angry?" Naruto carefully asked. His gaze softened as he stared at her flushing face. "Ein. A again." "What do you mean?" "T touched me A again," whispered Milim. "It felt good when you touched me." "Milim." "And Naruto," Milim said and averted her eyes back to stare at Naruto's blue eyes. "T touched me." Naruto did not say anything, nor he did what Milim asked him to. He instead captured her thin lips passionately, calming the woman and bringing her back to her sense. The kiss lasted not long as Naruto separated his lips with hers. "I'm sorry, Milim, I don't know what have possessed me to touch you on your on that," Naruto said and let Milim's hands go. He then moved from her body and sat beside her. Milim did not say anything as she sat up and leant against Naruto's back. "Though I think it was your mistake." "How was that my mistake? You are the pervert one here who likes to seduce me." "You perhaps because your blood flows inside my vein, and so my body feels attracted to yours. Beside, you are a Dragonoid, and I'm half Dragonoid. You also said that you are the only Dragonoid in existence, right? That has nothing to do with what you've done to me. You see, ever since I saw your beautiful blue eyes, I can't move you away from my mind. As though something inside me wishes to look deep inside your eyes, a nice feeling I have never felt before. I also feel the same when I first looked into your eyes." "I see, so that's why you injected your blood inside me. To make me feel the same like what you feel, to make us connected?" "No. I just don't have any means to heal you other than giving you my blood. Isn't there exists something called healing potion? I don't need something like that, so I don't have it. You are the mightiest demon lord, so asking people to give you such position is not hard, right?" "Well, it takes too much effort to look for that. Beside, you were dying anyway." "I see. She must have forgotten about that," Naruto thought. "You have to make more ramen for doing perverted things to me. I will not accept a no for that." Naruto smiled. "I don't mind though, you don't seem to be angry." "I'm angry." "Okay, you're angry. So, will we go out surveying your land?" "Of course, after you change your cloth with a proper cloth that doesn't show too much skin." "You, that kind of cloth, I don't have any." "I see, it can't be helped," Naruto said and motioned the pink-haired demon lord to stand. Naruto too was standing right after Milim did. He raised his left hand forward slightly above Milim's breast. Summoning Virgo. Right after that words left Naruto's mouth, a golden light appeared and engulfed Milim's whole body. The light lasted for a few seconds before it faded away, showing Milim clothed in gold armor with two gold-like wings behind her back, and a gold helmet that had four pointed-like horns protecting her head. All in all, she looked like an otherworldly being that had descended to Earth. Virgo's cloth has the ability to double its user's strength, and it gives you the ability to control a territory which will allow you to leap through space itself. Similar to the other gold cloths, it also gives you perfect control over your magical energy. And it also looks good on you, Milim." Milim eyed her gold cloth-like armor in amazement. "You'd give this cool armor for me?" "I lend it to you." Milim pouted at hearing the denial. "You have 11 more, right?" "That's true, what about it then?" "Since you have 11 more, I will not return this one to you, Virgo, right?" Naruto sighed and motioned Milim to get close to him. "What? You want to kiss me again?" asked Milim in a somewhat silly tone. She did not deny the blonde though, as she made her way closer to the bond. As soon as Milim stood right before him, Naruto brought his right hand on top of Milim's head. "I think this helmet has disturbed your beauty, don't you think so?" Naruto mildly asked, and then in an instant the helmet that's protecting Milim's forehead disappeared, revealing Milim's beauty back. I guess you're right." Later on, both Naruto and Milim were walking side by side. Their direction was the closest town to Milim's majestic house. Even though it was closer than any other town, it took quite a while before they reached the town's gate. Milim-sama! As soon as they stood before the gate, all the guards and people who were present immediately got to their knees with head bowing down. Fear was scripted on all of their face. Not every day Milim came to visit. No, the truth was Milim had never visited any of them. They were the one who always visited Milim, be it for giving the yearly coins or simply informing her of something mundane. So seeing her came by was naturally understood as a sign of something bad. Naruto could clearly understand that much, moreover with the divine cloth-like armor being equipped by the demon lord. If he was in their position, perhaps he would also consider Milim as a goddess. Look, Naruto! Even them, they understand my mightiness. Yes, as expected of Milim Nava. Milim flashed a proud grin while nodding her head, allowing the people to get off of their kneeling position. Naruto could not help himself from ruffling her smooth pink hair, who would know that even a small grin of Milim could captivate his sight. As expected of Milim, her cuteness knew no bounds. As the two were busy with each other, more people had come to witness their goddess. One of them was a fine lady who looked to be in her early 20s. The lady had a long silver hair reaching her waist, her iris were crimson like that of fresh blood, her skin was fairly white, and she had a beautiful face with a pointed nose complemented her look. She was wearing a fine one-piece dress, dark blue in color. Her name was Eskana Sylphindef, she was the one who governed this town. Milim-sama, it is an honor to be graced by your presence. My name is Eskana Sylphindef. Let me welcome you and your handsome friend. Both Milim and Naruto in synchrony averted their eyes toward the newcomer. They could feel a quite similar energy coming from the woman. Perhaps amongst all the descendants of dragon between human, she was the closest one to the Dragonoid. What is your race? Asked Milim. Her eyes were fully on hers. Naruto too was studying the silver-haired woman carefully. Aside from her gorgeous body, her eyes stand out the most. My, how sharp of you to be able to sense my energy. But that is to be expected from the great Milim Nava. As of my race, perhaps you can revere me as the pseudo-Dragonoid. Milim studied the woman carefully. Perhaps most people thought she was stupid, but that was not true. She was just too lazy to think. It was troublesome. Despite that, she did not like to be lied to, hence she forced herself to study the woman who had just claimed herself to be a pseudo-Dragonoid. After a while, she finally convinced that the woman was telling the truth, and so Milim just nodded her head, acknowledge her as a being that's closer to Naruto and herself. It seems that is the case, Eskana-san, it is? Ah, to be addressed so politely by a handsome man who is Milim-sama's friend makes me feel a bit of happiness. Even though I want to be called just Eskana, I guess Eskana-san will do, until we become more familiar toward each other, that is. The woman ended her words with a wink, making both Naruto's and Milim's lips twitched in annoyance. For Naruto, the woman was clearly a flirtatious type, so it would no doubt become troublesome to be in her presence. While for Milim, she felt something akin to danger from the woman. Not a normal danger, but a danger that she could not clearly understand, but she knew that this feeling was somehow related to Naruto. By the way, Milim-sama, what is your goal of visiting the town I govern? I want to know it so I can be of use to you by providing anything you wish to accomplish by visiting our humble town. This woman certainly has ways with words, thought Naruto. That kind of people would certainly be a good negotiator or even a manipulator. Though, from his experience dealing with people, she was not a manipulative type. At least that was a good thing about this beautiful woman, or so he wanted to believe. Naruto wants to see the whole land, so I guide him around. I understand, so basically Naruto-sama wants to see the whole land that is under Milim-sama's protection, and being such a benevolent person you are, so you decide to guide him yourself? As expected of Milim-sama. Your kindness knows no bounds. Though, despite how much I respect you, please do allow this lowly woman to escort the two divine beings such as yourselves into our humble town. I will explain everything Naruto-sama wants to know as not to waste Milim-sama's precious energy explaining about our mundane activities. Oh, okay, lead the way. Thank you for granting my selfish wish, Milim-sama, Eskana said, and turning herself toward the gate. Please follow me, she said, and started walking. Both Milim and Naruto unwillingly followed the woman. Even Milim, despite liking being praised, was thinking that the woman was too much for her to handle. Well, at least she had Naruto to share this unique woman's attention. The walk lasted for quite a long time. Ascana had been telling everything about the town, the rules she implied inside it, the daily activities of the people, the history, and many things else. And of course she did not forget to praise Milim each time she got the opportunity. Even he was being praised simply because he chose to befriend Milim, and being a handsome man. Not that Naruto did not feel happy, but it was too much to handle. After visiting every place Ascana deemed important, she had asked the two to visit her supposed humble residence in the most miraculous way that left no room to reject. Hence both Milim and Naruto were now sitting on such highest quality of sofa inside a house that was comparable to Milim's castle, with a glass of herbal tea and a plate of sweets for each of them. To be visited by two divine beings. I will change this quest room into a sacred room that is forbidden to anyone else. Yes, I will have to prepare another quest room for people. I cannot allow anyone to land a foot inside this now holy room. Ascana said as she sat herself on the sofa before Milim and Naruto. Their sofas were separated by high quality of table that made of glass. Of course, if Naruto-sama wants something at most special, I can accompany you inside my personal chamber. Of course I will not mind doing so to Milim-sama too. That is not necessary. This quest room is better. Is that so? It can't be helped then. I guess this is what they mean about not every wish can be granted. Ascana asked to herself and nodded her head in understanding. Anyway, Naruto-sama did say that you want me to do something. What is that you want me to do? I will do almost anything. The only one I will reject is making love. Because you have to marry me first before asking that. Though, I don't mind washing your back or taking a bath together. A tick mark appeared on Milim's right forehead. This woman was beyond her. She wanted to punch her and be done with it, but she had done almost nothing other than flirting with Naruto to warrant her wrath. No! It's nothing like that. I want you to deliver a message to all the ruler of each town and village to come to Milim's residence in a week after today. I have something planned. I will need your cooperation to make it happen. I did think of visiting them one by one, but now I think it will take too much time to do so. Can I entrust a fine woman such as yourself? It will make me and Milim happy if you can. Ha! Milim sighed in relief. At least Naruto was not going to bathing with Ascana. She would let her wrath unleashed upon the both of them should Naruto think of that. Oh, I understand. There's no need to ask nicely. You can trust this lowly woman. It shall be done. We will all be there in a week. Is that so? I then will entrust the invitation to you. As for now, sadly we have to return. Night will come soon and we still have other things to do, isn't it right, Milim? Why yes, as Naruto said, we are quite busy. Ascana let a disappointment smile appeared. It was so sad that almost made both Milim and Naruto think twice about their decision. I guess it can't be helped. Let me escort the two of you. There is no need. Time is important, so we will teleport there. Is that so? Then I hope you will have some spare time to visit my humble home. We will think about that. Take care, Ascana-san. Take care, Ascana. Right after saying their parted words, both Milim and Naruto disappeared from Ascana's eyes, leaving her alone with a satisfying smile on her lips. I think I have finally found a suitable man to be my husband, but it seems I have to share him with Milim-sama. Nah, it is fine. I like Milim-sama as well. If only both Milim and Naruto listened to those words, perhaps they would never show themselves in front of this woman ever again. A week later, Crimson Crystal Castle. White Wall Castle had been renovated. It was no longer a 3-story castle, but it now had an underground floor as well. Not only that, but its size had been tripled and most of its appearance was no longer painted in white. Naruto had used his Rakuto Senjutsu mode when renovating the castle. He had modified it by using crystal release. From the outside, the castle was mostly built using red crystal. But if you landed a foot inside the castle, you would find blue crystal dominating the interior. Because its exterior was mostly red, Naruto had renamed the castle from White Wall Castle to Crimson Crystal Castle. It was also written above the gate of the castle's yard. The underground floor was the biggest area among the floors. It was dedicated for Milim's and his personal residence. The first floor was slightly smaller than the underground floor. It would be used to house a guest or for housing an important event. The workers would be set inside this floor as well. The second floor was a bit more important than the first floor. The conference room was located inside this floor. There were many rooms inside this floor as well. One of them was the library. And finally the last floor, the third floor. This was where he set the red crystal throne he made for Milim. Unlike the first and the second floor, which mostly had wooden-made ground, this floor's ground were entirely made of blue crystal. The walls were painted in crimson and gold, while the ceiling was the very imitation of night sky itself. There was a large red carpet on the floor. A staircase was separating the throne area and the rest area. There also were 10 gold pillars shouldering the ceiling. It were all being ornamented with wooden dragon. Right behind the throne, there was a big symbol of Ouroboros. The dragon was colored in crimson while the background was in black. The eyes of the dragon were shining in white. Above the large symbol were some alphabets which together they formed Mineva Empire, words. This floor was easily the most majestic floor among the three, perhaps comparable to both Milim's and Naruto's personal residence. Right now, the owner of the castle was currently sitting upon her majestic throne. Naruto was standing closely in front of the owner. There were 3 people kneeling before the two. They were all archdemon that were summoned by Milim. Naruto had named the 3 and making them evolved into Duke Demons, the highest of the demon aristocracy, and had the strength comparable to the awakened demon lord. Naruto had given them the names of his former acquaintances when he was in Shinobi World. He named the female Duke Demon Konan. The reason was simple. Her hair was blue, it reminded him of Konan. Accordingly, he had named those 2 with Yahiko and Nagato. Their personality did not resemble of that Akatsuki's leader, only Konan had bit similarities toward the real Konan. To make them stronger, Naruto had allowed them to wield Athena's gold saint cloths. He gave Libra to Konan, Leo to Nagato, and Capricorn to Yahiko. The 3 were faithfully waiting their orders. I want each of you to get 40 underlings who are willing to swear their loyalty toward Milim. It is better if they are demons. Another monster is also okay as long as you deem them competent. The 3 Duke demons nodded their heads in understanding and vanished from the view, leaving the 2 opposite gender on their own. Are you sure I have to play Empress, Naruto? Milim asked in an annoyed tone, making Naruto turning his body facing the woman. It is too troublesome, too much to think. We have been agreeing on this, right? To ease your boredom, and to find something fun, we will build an empire. This way, attracting people to live here will be easier and chance of finding something entertaining would be greater than roaming around the world. Besides, you don't actually need to do anything other than playing your role as the Empress. Also, unlike before, you will have many servants to order around. Isn't it feels nice? Well, I guess you are right. I'm glad you think so, Naruto said, and holding a hand seal and similar throne appeared on the right side of Milim's, and Naruto sat himself upon it. I'm sure you will enjoy it. I then will look forward to this empire, and the fun we will be getting through it. It was about 10 minutes later that a long black-haired woman clothed in gold armor walked into the throne room. She was another demon that Milim had summoned. Naruto named her Haku. Just like the 3 demons earlier, she also had evolved into Duke Demon, complemented with Aquarius gold cloth. She was perhaps the strongest of the 4. The demon kneeled before the thrones, head held high. My lord, the peoples you're waiting have arrived. Mayrin and Shni have escorted them inside the conference room. A little smile appeared on Naruto's lips. Despite that woman was troublesome at heart, she was undoubtedly the most competent people he had encountered so far. She had gone her way on writing everything she knew about the rest leaders. It would certainly make easier to choose who would be tasked with many jobs he had in mind. Thank you, Haku. I will go there. You remain here with Milim. Understood. It will take long, Milim, but I hope you can stand without me by your side. Don't cry, okay? Right after saying those words, which succeeded on making Milim annoyed, Naruto disappeared from the view, leaving the 2 women on their own. The throne beside Milim's was also disappearing, as though it was never there to begin with. Conference room. There was a round table with 25 chairs surrounding it in the middle of the room. Both table and chairs were made of highest wood quality. Table's surface was also covered with blue crystal. Out of all the chairs, only one was empty, the rest were occupied by both male and female of the town's and village's leader. There were 6 female and 18 male in total. One of them was Eskana Sylphendeff. She was sitting near the empty chair. Eskana let a satisfying smile appear on her thin lips. Convincing them to come was not that hard. She even doubted that they'd ignore an invitation from Milim-sama, but what was hard was forcing them to cooperate together. However, for Eskana, the most respected people second only to Milim-sama, making them working together was like lifting up her palm. Simple, easy, and without much effort. Though, despite her sweet words to persuade them on telling her things about their area, she honestly did not know the reason behind Naruto-sama's invitation. She could guess some possibilities but cast it aside since knowing Milim-sama, it was highly unlikely she would partook herself in mundane activities. But perhaps it now was different. Milim-sama seemed to listen to Naruto-sama's words. She was not certain though, Milim-sama was beyond her to understand. "Our lord will arrive soon, keep quiet and show him utmost respect," one of the maids who were guarding the door said. If she was not mistaken, the girl's name was Marin? Or perhaps Shni? Well, it did not matter anyway, surely those were their name, whose Marin or Shni was irrelevant. It was after a minute or so after the maid told them that a distortion appeared a few feet away before the 2 maids. From within it a short, spiky blonde-haired man walked out of the distortion and heading toward the empty seat. All participants' eyes were glued to his figure. Eskana too was staring at him. Naruto-sama was not in the attire he wore days ago. Right now he was wearing a long-sleeves royal crimson cloth befitting of his image. His pants and boots seemed to be similar to the one he used days prior though. Eskana thought this outfit he now wearing looked good on him, more so than the one he used days ago. Perhaps not only her who though he looked really good, a blushes on the women next to her was the very indicating of that. "It gladdens me to finally meet fine people such as yourselves. I want to come to the area you govern by myself along with Milim, but time is of utmost importance. We can't afford to do that, not where we're this busy. First thing first, I think introduction is in order. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, you may address me as Naruto." "I hope we get along quite well," Naruto said while walking before finally he sat on the empty chair. "We understand how busy you are, there is no need to explain yourself, Naruto-sama. Not only that, but being invited by Milim-sama and you is an honor to us. We will never let this chance slide. A divine being such as yourself don't need to be polite toward a lowly being such as us, Naruto-sama. Like what Eskana said, we are but lowly beings, thus we don't deserve your hospitality. However, it will be an honor for us to be able to communicate with our goddess's special friend." Is that so? As expected of Milim's believers, you're all such fine person. Anyway, let us begin the reason of why I invite you all into our castle. Milim lately feels boring toward the world. In the hope of giving her entertainment, I think of changing this land she rules over into a prosper empire. This empire main purpose is to offer myriad entertainments for Milim, but of course we will make the people of the empire to have a prosper life along the way, because certainly it is impossible to have entertainment when the people suffer. Let me hear your thought. I see. The one who seemed to be the oldest man said, his head was nodding in understanding. To offer our utmost loyalty and servitude toward Milim-sama is the highest honor we can have. Though, there are some troubles with the newest people who had yet to know Milim-sama. Convincing them who actually worshipping angel would be hard, but I think if Milim-sama shows her greatness for them to see, then it is highly likely they will convert. I agree with Ruberdano. People should know the greatness of Milim-sama so they will understand the true goddess. Wasting their time worshipping such stupid angel is stupidity. Oh, we also should make a shrine for Milim-sama to make it clear to the world. What Flutildano said is true, but I think we should make a shrine for Naruto-sama too. After all, the world should know that there are 2 divine beings who bless us with their presence. Although I understand that Naruto-sama wished to do everything for Milim-sama, but for us, we will feel safer with the presence of another divine being. So no one disagree about forming the empire? Naruto said, trying to stop them from planning on making shrine for him. He did not mind them making shrine for Milim, but for him? It was too much to handle. Somehow he had the feeling that the woman who was sitting beside him had hyped up his name to these people. I believe no one will think otherwise, Ascana said. She has finally understood. Naruto-sama was prioritizing Milim-sama. Not that she did not see it when they were just the three of them, it was just that she thought it was only in a friendly manner. Well, she did not dislike this truth. In truth, it was better this way. She would just force herself in a very nice way between the two divine beings. But first, she needed to make sure the empire came into reality, and thus Ascana began smoothing the talk to forming the empire. Later on, throne room. Milim impatiently sat on her throne. She liked this throne. This throne was made by Naruto for her alone. She would not allow anyone to sit on this throne. But still, sitting like this felt boring to her. More so with no one to mess with. Haku was just too strict for her liking. Talking with her did not fun at all. Is something troubling you, Your Majesty? Asked Haku. She was standing on Milim's left side. Her job was different to those three demons. While they would be tasked to handle this empire's military power, Haku was tasked to be her guard. That meant she would always be by her side, no matter what. She did not need guard. But Naruto had told her that she did not need to lift up her finger fighting weaklings. Only people whose strength was recognized by Naruto were allowed to test her strength. Well, Milim did no disagreeing with that one. Fighting a weakling did not feel fun at all. No, nothing wrong. It is just boring sitting like this. I want to move around causing chaos or messing with people. Well, when you officially become the Empress, you can do everything to amuse you. You can even make the whole empire to play hide and seek to give you some entertainments. So for now you have to get used to sitting like that. You are a mighty demon lord and our goddess after all. No one will deny your words. Are you sure I can do as I please? Will not Naruto angry if I do that? As long as it will not harm your people, I'm sure my lord will not mind. Listening to Haku's answer brought a smile to Milim's face. For once in her very long life she was looking forward to officially become the Empress. After a while of impatiently waiting, Naruto had finally reappeared inside the throne room. He gracefully made his way toward Milim's right side. They will arrive in a minute, and then you will officially be the Empress of Minerva Empire. Though I expect you to deliver a good speech after the announcement, and when the rebuilding does finished. Oh, I understand, I will deliver a very good speech, Milim said with a grin. She was really in a good mood. Naruto could not help but smile. He had stopped grinning since his death. The new Naruto Uzumaki would no longer pretend to be a loud-mouthed fool who liked grinning around. The people had finally arrived to the throne room. He had explained everything about the blueprint of the empire. He also had appointed each of them to be his council members with their respective tasks. Ascana Sylphandef would be the capital's viceroy. The capital's name would be Namaki City. Milim had stubbornly used that as its name, simply because he had used Minerva as the empire's name. Complaining would not be fair, she said. 10 people would be the viceroy of the 10 cities he would build, and the rest would be his ministers. None of them would partake in military affair. He had dumped that part to the other 3 Duke demons. And he would be acting as the prime minister. Though, much to his annoyance, those council members treated him as the emperor instead. Perhaps it was now unofficial that he was the emperor. He had no doubt that the whole empire would think so. He guessed that he couldn't complain about it. Dumping every attention to Milim alone would not fare. Well, he had to endure. Not only Milim felt bored anyway. The 24 council members were immediately kneeling before Milim. They pledged their loyalties and promised her to serve her to the best of their abilities. Milim's response to their absolute faith was also a sight to behold. Naruto did not expect Milim to be able to give such holy speech. Well, it was Milim he's thinking about. When the girl put her mind into something, she would certainly get it done. Of course it was something related to amusement and fun, but she really meant what she was saying. Milim really wanted to bring this empire into prosperity. She wanted to see her believers rejoice in peace and harmony. She wanted to see them smiling and laughing. And of course, she wanted to make as much amusement materials as possible. For no matter how prosperous the empire was, if there's no fun then everything would feel dull and boring. And Naruto, he would see to it that Milim get what she wanted. He would assist her in making this empire perfect for her taste. Because, once again, not only Milim who felt boring and needing the fun, but Naruto also needs such fun every now and then. And today would later be known as the Day of Nineveh. There was a majestic palace on the ever-frozen continent. The palace was known throughout the whole world as the Palace of White Ice. It was forever ruled by the oldest demon lord, one of the strongest to ever existed, the Lord of Darkness Guy Crimson. The man had taken appearance as the handsome man with feminine traits. He had crimson irides and cardinal red long hair. Despite he looked to be male, he was actually an androgynous demon. He could be a woman if he wanted to. Currently he was sitting on the highest floor of the palace enjoying a glass of tea. However, he was not alone. A beautiful woman with long white hair was sitting on a luxurious chair on his right side. She was the ice dragon Velzado, one of the remaining 3 of true dragons. Not too far from the 2 extraordinary beings, there was a woman clothed in maid uniform guarding the door. Her name was Harari. She was Guy Crimson's strongest servant along with her soon-to-be twin sister. She was the officer of the demon. Although she was strong enough to annihilate an entire large city, to Guy Crimson she was weak and useless, hence she was not allowed to speak in his presence. Her and her sister job was only taking care of the demon lord, as his maids and officer. Until she could get stronger, it was highly unlikely she and her sister would be allowed to act on their own. "What are you thinking?" Velzado suddenly asked, erasing the silence that was occupying the two. "I doubt it has something to do with Rudra." "It has nothing to do with Rudra, but perhaps it somehow has." Guy's response was vague, as though he was not certain about it. "Is it related to the last war?" Guy did not immediately respond to the question. He seemed to be pondering about it. It had been 100 years since the last war against the angels. The war was not interesting at all. Guy did not even take part in that one. Though sadly, not that Guy felt any sadness or sympathy, the number of demon lord had been reduced greatly. Because of that, they had made an agreement to keep 10 as the maximum number of demon lords, meaning there would be no 11th demon lords ever since. However, as of now, the demon lord members were just consisted of 6 peoples: him, Milim Nava, Ramiris, Degrul, Dino, and Ruminus. They would need 4 more people to make it 10. If there are things that made him happy with the war, it was the awakening of Degrul as the true demon lord, sadly though he did not possess ultimate skill unlike him and Milim. There were chances for Ruminus and Dino to awaken as true demon lords as well. They also seemed to possess the seeds of ultimate skill of 7 Deadly Sins series. It would be interesting to see the day they awakened the skills. The most surprising about the war was the absence of Milim Nava. It was unlike Milim to not wreaking havoc in the war. As far as he knew, Milim would never let a chance of causing trouble to be wasted. However, on the last war, she really was not present at all. The rumors said she only sent 4 of her servants cladded in golden armor to handle the angels. Each of those 4 had strength comparable to an awakened demon lord, perhaps beyond. Not only that, but also Milim seemingly had formed an empire. The empire was built about 300 years ago. Nineveh Empire was its name if he was not mistaken. Yes. Guy finally decided to answer Velzado's question. About Milim, to be precise, she is not acting the way she does, as though she is not Milim at all. Do you think perhaps Rudra has a hand with that? Highly unlikely. Controlling Milim is almost impossible. The only thing I can think of is manipulation, though, knowing Milim, she was beyond the scale of that. Well, unless there's an ultimate skill that is mainly focusing on manipulating or brainwashing. But everything is possible. Ultimate skill still is a mystery even for me. That's true. Velzado nodded her head in understanding. Perhaps she had never witnessed the true strength of Milim Nava, but according to Guy, he needed Ramiris's help to calm the woman from her wrath. That spoke much of how strong the Dragonoid demon lord was. She envied the girl. To be acknowledged as Guy's equal was no small feat. She's sure that she was not seen as his equal yet. Partner yes, but equal no. It seems I have to confirm it myself. I will visit Milim and her empire. Will you join me, Velzado? Ah, yes, I also interested to know the truth. Besides, it has been so long since the last time I took a flight. With that being said, the two extraordinary beings floated up to the sky. Guy used his incredible speed, leaving an annoyed Velzato behind. Actually, Velzato was not that slow or had trouble at flying to be left so far behind at all, it's just that Guy's speed was so fast. But of course her sister, Velgrind, was still faster than even Guy. Groaning, Velzato flapped her wings much faster than before. With her speed doubled, the true dragon pursued the Lord of Darkness in tremendous speed. However, Guy's speed still was much faster than hers. It would take a while before she reached the destination. Damned, why did not she wait there on the palace and ask Guy to open the gate for her later when he had arrived? Namaki City, the capital of Minerva Empire. About 300 years ago, Minerva Empire was built. It took years to finish the buildings and cities, but finally after about 5 years everything was already in order. Ever since, more people came to look for shelters and more houses were built in response. Until today, the number of Empire's people had reached 10 millions. Almost 2 millions lived in the capital, while the rest were divided among the 10 cities that encircling the capital. Among the 10 cities that surrounded the capital, one of them stood the most, City of Wonder, or most known as Wonder City. The city was the nearest to the capital compared to the rest 9 cities. The reason was simple. Unlike the rest cities who were separated by plains or forest, the border between the capital and the Wonder City was a quite big lake. Hence, to reach the capital through the city, one needed to board a boat or something alike. Although all the cities had the same building materials, the finest of all them still was the Wonder City. Not only that, but also the biggest park of the empire was located inside the city, hence it was favored by many. Although it was the most popular one, its citizens were the smallest. Perhaps because its main purpose was not for industrial or business or entertainment, its main purpose was solely for relaxing. Despite the finest and popularity of the Wonder City, it was nowhere comparable to the capital of Minerva Empire, Namaki City. For size alone, the capital could easily dwarf the rest cities. The ground was not paved with stone or normal iron unlike the rest 10 cities, it was wholly paved with mithril. The buildings were all made of the finest materials. You could almost find everything you need in the capital. From the cheapest inn to the majestic hotel, from a simple shop to the finest restaurant, everything that existed in the rest cities could be found here in the capital with a better quality. If you walked into the capital through the main gate, you would be welcomed by the only road that was paved with silver. The road would directly bring you to the biggest building in the entire capital, the Crimson Crystal Castle. No building stood between the castle and the main gate, however, the distance between them was about 25 kilometers. It would take a while to reach the castle's gate. Along the Silver Road, you would find many important buildings, shops, parks, and many else. Not only that, you would also find the second biggest building on the middle way on the right side of the road. It was a Colosseum-like building. It stood magnificently tall and wide, and now was crowded by people from all over the empire. The Colosseum-like building, which was named Game Hall, was mostly used as the place where the peak festival of Minerva's Day was held. And today was that special day for the people of the empire, the 300th festival of Minerva's Day, so of course so many peoples were enjoying the festival, not only in the capital but also in all cities. Not only the citizens, but the ministers and viceroys as well, they had to participate in this greatest day to make sure their empress and goddess, Milim-sama, could enjoy the day and find the fun she's looking. Game Hall VIP seats. Milim happily stared at the 10 finalists of the War Champion who were standing down there inside the arena. Ever since Naruto made the game about 200 years ago, Milim had come to love the game. Even though the festival was not boring at all, the peak festival where the final game started was what she waiting the most. Not only the game world was nice, the fight itself was amusing to watch, more so with her being the final boss of the game. War Champion was the game Naruto made with the help of a few otherworlders. Although it was just a prototype of the real game which had yet to finish, it was enough to keep her life interesting. She had claimed her rank throughout years to finally defeat the old boss and became the new boss. It was hard and took time, but at the end it felt fun. No one had defeated her yet. The one who was closer at defeating her was Haku in the previous year. Though, unfortunately, she was defeated by some human this time around. That human looked to be an otherworlder as well. Well, it was not a surprise at all. Most of the otherworlders excelled at this kind of thing after all. It was a virtual reality game. One did not need real power to participate in the game. The only thing that needed to be done was the registration process in early year. And then they could hone their skills and level up until a day before the Minava's day by adventuring inside the virtual world created by Naruto's rune and the technologies developed by the otherworlders. And then every player who had reached level of 100 would be able to participate in the true stage of War Champion, and only the last 10 standing would be able to play in the final where Milim was waiting. Those 10 finalists then would enter the sacred arena through 10 different gates. Through the gates they would be welcomed by the Forest of the Death before finally her old castle was waiting in the middle of the forest. It was up to the players whether they wanted to work together or eliminating each other. As long as they reached the castle, then they would get the prize of the game. The smallest number of the player, the greater prize they would get, hence mostly they chose to eliminate each other. However, this year seemed to be different. A third of finalists seemed to be working together. If so, then they would pose a threat to her last boss title. Well, she had just to make sure those 10 ended up fighting each other. "Are you ready?" Naruto, who was sitting beside her, asked. "Isaac will send them to the rune tube. If you are ready, then you have to go to the rune tube as well. The audiences are so eager to see their empress and goddess in action. Show them your power." "Well, of course, I will never lose, and I don't intend to let anyone become the last boss. It would be a pain to climb the rank again to reclaim the lost title." "Is that so? Even so, I suggest you to fully equip yourself. Those 3 otherworlders are the gamer at heart." Milim nodded her head and arose from her seat. "Well, I'm a gamer at soul." With that being said, Milim left the VIP seat accompanied by Haku, who was always by her side. Since this time she did not make it to the final, so there's no need to ask Conan to take over her job. Naruto could only smile at watching Milim, who seemed to be waiting this time to come. Right after Milim's fully disappeared from the view, Naruto instructed Isaac, an otherworlder, to begin the final game. Just then the whole Colosseum was engulfed by darkness. The sunlight was blocked by a rooftop that appeared out of nowhere. The darkness lasted not long though, as multiple screens appeared inside the arena, fulfilling the dark arena with its light. There were 12 screens in total, each showing a different sight. One was showing Milim's place, 10 were showing each of 10 players, and another one was showing the sacred arena from wide angle. "Milim-sama! Show them your awesomeness, Milim-sama! You fool! How dare you to raise your arms against Milim-sama? Milim-sama, show them hell! Milim-sama! Milim-sama! Milim-sama!" As expected of Milim's follower, none of them who did not support her. That much was to be expected. It would be a surprise if there were people who did not cherish Milim. Well, even if that happened, Naruto would not let it last long. He would make sure that everyone understood the first rule of being the people of the empire. "Milim-sama, show your love for Naruto-sama." That one was not expected. He did not need to avert his eyes to know who had voiced out those embarrassing words. "Naruto-sama, you have to support Milim-sama and show her your utmost love." Sighing, Naruto shifted his sight at the woman beside him. The woman was flashing her silly smile at him. "But of course, if you finally deem me worthy of accompanying you when Milim-sama busy, then I will not mind you show your love to me instead. Eskana, not that I'm not happy for accepting your big love, but we have been through." Naruto did not continue his words as his eyes were widening in surprise. Someone with incredible speed and crazy strength was getting closer to the capital. He did not feel any malice intent from the figure, but he had to stop the guy from penetrating the rune he had set up surrounding the capital. With that kind of strength, no doubt that the rune would not able to stop the person. "Conan! Hi! I will leave everything to you. I will stop our uninvited guest." "Understood, my lord." With that being said, Naruto vanished from the view and reappeared right above the game hall's rooftop. Sprouting out his wings, a pair of dragon's wings similar to Milim's, he shot toward the direction of the powerful figure. While flying, Naruto did not forget to absorb the natural energy. Ever since he turned into half Dragonoid, his senjutsu was no longer similar to his Toad senjutsu. His eye reeds were no longer similar to that of a toad, but it were now had turned into red vertical like that of reptile. The amount of natural energy he could absorb also had tripled his usual senjutsu. Perhaps it was the effect of being half Dragonoid. Though, despite everything, Milim was still beyond his reach. Even though he went all out, he would possibly lose against Milim's full power. That's not because he's weak. At his current self, he's sure that he could defeat Kaguya by himself. However, it was not enough to defeat Milim, who had infinite amount of magic essence and stamina. Milim also had said that there was a person who could keep up with her power, though he could not do it by himself alone. The last time when she lost control of her power, 2 demon lords had able to calm her down. One of them was Ram Iris, and another was the one who had the strength comparable to Milim, Guy Crimson. And judging by the magic essence he could feel, the person who was heading toward the capital was certainly that person, the Lord of Darkness, Guy Crimson. And it took no longer than 2 minutes for Guy Crimson to reach Milim's empire. Though he did not expecting someone would welcome him before he could land a foot inside the supposed to be capital of the empire. Despite feeling a bit surprised, Guy stopped himself from his track and floating in the air. It is an honor to be visited by one of the strongest demon lord, the Lord of Darkness, Guy Crimson. Though, at the moment Milim can't be bothered with. You have to wait for her if you want to meet her. Guy studied the blonde man carefully. With his ultimate skill, reading people was not that hard. The guy who had stopped him from reaching his target was strong. His current energy was comparable to Degurechaff, perhaps a bit more than the demon lord. However, Guy could also see some hidden power from the man. Perhaps it was similar to Milim's mana breeder reactor, but unlike Milim, who could produce infinite amount of mana, the blonde's mana was finite. Not only that, but also he had an ultimate skill, war goddess Athena. He did not know the skill's ability, but if he forced the guy to use it, then he could make the skill as his as well. With his ultimate skill, Abyss God Nodens, the evolution of his ultimate skill, Prideful King Satan, he could copy any skill after properly being analyzed and made it his own with 90% of its true potential. What is your name? Guy finally asked the man after done studying him. Ah, to think that you can read me that easy. I assume you have known my ultimate skill and my real strength, huh? By the way, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, I'm Milim's friend, you can address me as Naruto. I see. It seems you are a very good friend of Milim, she has even turned you into half Dragonoid. I don't know how she did that, but perhaps it is due to her energy or blood runs in you. And Naruto, you are studying me as well, no? You can address me as Guy as well. Yes, I'm also studying you, Guy. Though the only thing I can read is your real strength and your intention, I've no skill that allows me to read your skill. That is unfortunate, my skill allows me exactly that. Anyway, since you say Milim is busy, care to entertain me? Of course you have to use your full strength, if not then you will accidentally being killed. I think so as well, I will die if I don't go all out. The temperature around Naruto suddenly changed. Wind started to pick up as yellow cloak with black markings started to cover Naruto's body. 6 black balls made of condensed energy appeared behind his back, and his energy had doubled his previous energy. Now this was what Guy was looking for so long, a worthy opponent to fight. Ever since his last fight against Rudra and Milim, he had felt the lack of challenge. But fortunately, his long war game with Rudra had healed him from his boredom. And now, another person with comparable strength had appeared. A happy smile blooming on Guy's lips, soon it changed into a full laughter. Interesting, it has been so long since I fight someone capable, said Guy after his laughter died. Dark aura started to engulf his body. It will be troublesome if we fight here, I hope you don't mind if we fight inside my special dimension. I don't mind. And Naruto was glad that Guy agreed not to fight here. And so he opened the portal for both himself and Guy, and now they were already inside the imitation of Shinobi world, the desert of Sunagakure to be precise. This dimension was actually supposed to be the artificial world for the game he and the Otherworlder created for Milim. With the combination of the technologies and his rune, creating a perfect game world was possible. But for now, the system had yet to finish, and so this dimension was not working yet, hence it was okay to use it for fighting purpose. Is this really your dimension? The wind, the sky, the desert. It feels so real to be an artificial dimension. Actually, this dimension is located inside the special room in our residence. I am dedicating this for Milim. I will explain later when we're done fighting. By then I'm sure Milim is also done with her game. I see, so now I understand why Milim did not join the last war. She must have been enjoying the game too much to care for anything else. It seems so. Right after Naruto said those words, Guy had vanished from his place and appeared an instant before Naruto with a razing punch that aiming for his gut. The speed was incredibly fast, however, Naruto could follow him and thus he able to dodge the punch with his left arm. However, Guy had expected the blonde to dodge his punch, hence his punch had been opened with his palm directed at his arm. Napalm burst. Infernal flame burst out of Guy's palm and hit Naruto directly on his arm. It sent Naruto flying backward a dozen meters behind. Naruto managed to withstand the force behind the attack and brushed it aside. The attack was strong, but perhaps Guy did not use his full strength. Stretching out both his hands, 2 Rasen Shuriken appeared on both his palms, and so Naruto threw it away aiming to hit Guy with his favorite attack. He had perfected his Rasen Shuriken, it now would pursue the intended target. Though, as expected, Guy managed to avoid being hit by simply making the Rasen Shuriken hitting each other. The clash of 2 Rasen Shuriken caused the ground to explode and the wind to go wild. Though, it did nothing to stop the two from continuing their fight. Later on, the game hall. Belzado was not happy at all. She had been looking for Guy since an hour ago, and yet there's not a single trace of his whereabouts, as though his existence had fully vanished from the world. And so she had ended up watching this so-called game by sitting in the VIP seat courtesy by the blue-haired demon. But unfortunately, the game had ended about 5 minutes ago, and now she had nothing to do other than watching those people celebrated the another win of their goddess Milim-sama. How boring! She ended up muttering. Milim-sama will come soon, I'm sure she knows where Master and your partner are. Belzado shifted her eyes toward the blue-haired demon who had welcomed her with a good respect. The woman whose name Conan was probably stronger than Guy's maid, more so with the high level of armor she's wearing. Is that so? That at least is good news. It was about a minute later that Milim returned to the VIP seat with a beaming smile on her face. Though, the smile lasts for a few seconds before she realized that Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Where's Naruto? She demanded Conan for answer. I don't believe that he did not watch me fighting, she continued in disbelieving tone. It's not like that, Milim-sama. Conan fast at answering Milim's question. Your acquaintance, Demon Lord Guy Crimson, is visiting you. To prevent him from causing panic to the people, Master has decided on welcoming him by himself. So he preferred welcoming Guy over watching me. It's not like that, Milim-sama. I'm sure not a single person in the whole empire who doesn't know that Master prefers you over everything as exists. Doesn't that everything he has done is purposely to make you happy? I'm sure Master has his own reason. If you say it like that. Of course Milim would never fault Naruto. Naruto always did something that was good for her. She dared to believe that Naruto did not care toward anyone other than her, though she's afraid of knowing the truth. It was unlike her, but when it came to Naruto, just by thinking him alone was enough to make her heart beat faster. It was not good for her health, not that she would get sick or what. So you are Milim Nava, now I understand why Guy sees you in high regard. Your presence alone are already overwhelming. Who are you? Milim had just realized about the woman's presence. It seemed she was so eager to meet Naruto that made her to ignore everyone. I'm the second true dragon, Belzado. I'm Velda Nava's sister, so technically I'm your aunt. Milim honestly did not know about that. She did not know if she had any left family. Ever since she could understand things, she was being taken care of by her maid. No family whatsoever. Her mother died, her father died. No one of her parents' family had bothered to look after her. And now this supposed true dragon had just claimed she was her aunt? How was she supposed to respond? I don't know about your existence. Ever since our brother prohibited us from mating with human, we don't bother ourselves with such thing. I have just realized about this fact by studying you. You give of the aura similar to my brother. I don't know what to do with this knowledge now, but hopefully we can get along. You okay? Belzado could not help herself from smiling. Her niece was definitely stronger than her. She wondered why Guy had yet to launch attack toward Rudra. Surely he knew that by having Milim on his side he would certainly win this long war. Oh, perhaps there's a chance that Milim did not want to participate in his game, so it was better to add more strong pawn on his side. So, do you know where your friend and Guy? She ended up asking. Knowing Guy, he would no doubt challenge Naruto to a fight. Perhaps they are inside that dimension. Is this Naruto that strong to be able to attract Guy's attention? Of course Naruto is strong, Milim fast at responding. If I and Naruto together, we are unbeatable, Milim declared with a proud smile. More so when he becomes my cloth, I will be able to do almost anything. Is that so? Anyway, can we go meet them? Milim seemed to think about whether to bring this woman into their residence, or not. But again, she was her supposed-to-be aunt, so it was okay, right? Besides, Naruto had brought Guy inside that dimension, so it was okay to bring this dragon along. In the end, Milim nodded her head and instructed Belzado to follow her. Milim created a portal and jumped into it. Haku, who was always by her side, followed her afterward, with Belzado following behind Haku. The three then disappeared from the view as the portal started to close itself. Milim's residence, Crimson Crystal Castle's underground floor. About 10 people were busy working on something that was similar to a very big computer. Its monitor was as large as the room's wall it hung upon. There were no wire around it, but there were so many runes around the monitor and the machine. The runes seemingly made the monitor and machine connected to the sealed room near them. It was a small room inside this special research room. Not too far from those 10 people, a portal was slowly opening. From within it 3 figures walked out. 2 of them wearing gold cloths while another one was wearing a blue kimono-like cloth. Upon seeing those 3 arrival, Maximilian, who was the leader of those 10 people, reacting fast by kneeling before the shortest woman out of 3. Soon his team members were following his lead by kneeling before her, their Majesty Empress and Goddess. Max, is Naruto inside? Yes, Your Majesty, Naruto-sama and someone else are currently inside the dimension. You wish to enter as well? Yes, open the gate. Understood. Right after saying that, the researchers did their order done. A golden gate, crafted by numerous complex runes, appeared on the empty wall of the small room. Inside the dimension, the Wind Country had been erased from this artificial world. There were not a single sand could be found. It had turned into a wasteland as magma was starting to erupt from the very ground that was cut in half. However, high up on the air, the fight was still continuing on as 2 beings were attacking each other with sword in each grips. Lightning had long started bombarding the destroyed land, causing more explosions when it struck the magma. Though, that did not deter these 2 beings from fighting. Guy swung his demon sword fully intending on cutting the blonde head. However, as always, his sword met the blonde's black sword on its midway. He tried another, it was being parried as well. Swung after swung he delivered and it all were being parried. This kind of sword fighting had been continuing on since he started to summon his sword 30 minutes ago, and the blonde in response to his sword creating his own sword by combining those 6 black balls. Ever since, they had been fighting with swords until now. If there's one thing that managed to annoy Guy Crimson was that the blonde refused to use his ultimate skill, hence he did not use his as well. Despite that, the blonde was so good. Though, he's sure that in the end he would certainly win, with or without using ultimate skill. Too focused on the blonde, Guy failed to notice that someone was aiming for his head and in return, he was being thrown far away toward a small mountain on another side of the country. The strength behind the punch had even managed to destroy the mountain, and went further beyond that until finally Guy managed to hold himself with his own power. Milim, Guy murmured and shot toward his previous place. Upon arriving, he was welcomed by 4 people. One of them was Belzado, and she did not seem to be happy. Yep, she did not happy at all. So while I'm looking for you for hours, you are here and enjoying yourself. Well, I have to say I forget about that, I apologize. Seeing Naruto's power makes me want to fight him, and thus we are here. Guy calmly answered and let his sword disappear. So, you really forgot about me? It's not that I forgot about you, I just thought that the fight will not last long, but I underestimated Naruto too much it seems. Regardless, you did forget about me. Well, of that I apologize. Naruto decided to interfere. Since Milim has finished playing games, let us leave this place to a more proper place. Right after saying that, the four people disappeared from the artificial world and reappeared at the guest room in Milim's residence. Naruto sat on the high-quality sofa alongside Milim and instructed both their guests to sit on the opposite side of them. Haku had excused herself to prepare tea and food as soon as they took seats, and she did not take long to return with 4 glasses of tea and 2 plates of dango. It has been a while, Milim, you are as strong as ever. Though, that hit was not as hard as back then. Guy started as he took sip of the tea. Oh, I did not serious at all. I know. Anyway, the reason I'm here is to check on you and to find the answer as to why you did not participate in the last war. But it now is unnecessary, I have known the answer. By the way, what is this? Asked Guy as he tasted the dango. It is dango, what about it? Answered Naruto. You don't mind if my maids learn this as well, no? Of course, Marin or Shni can teach them. That's good, Guy said and motioned his hand to open the portal. 2 beautiful maids walked out of it soon after. Naruto motioned Haku to escort them to Marin or Shni. That's very kind of you, Belzado muttered after tasting the dango. We are quite bored without anything good to eat. Is that so? Yes. So, about the game? Guy asked again after eating his 3rd dango. What about it? Milim fast at answering, preventing Naruto from responding. I will not telling you anything, that game is created especially for me. About 400 years later. Level up. Status. Name Milim Nava. Clan Terumi. Village Kirigakure no Sato. Rank Chunin. HP 5500. CP 2450. Level 33. Milim smiled happily when she checked on her stats. This was her 3rd attempt on playing this virtual game. Her first try ended up in failure, she died in Chunin exam. Her 2nd attempt was also the same. So passing the exam and became Chunin had made her more happy than usual. She needed 7 more level to be able to join the Jounin exam. With that thought, Milim continued her journey toward the client's village. She had to finish this mission to get a special sword of lightning. However, before Milim could reach the village, she was forcefully being logged out. And when she opened her eyes, her underground room was what welcoming her sight. She was no longer in the game world. You have played the game for 3 days non-stop, Milim. Did not I tell you that you can only allocate 2 days time a week to play game? Milim widened her eyes when she heard those words. She slowly stood up from her rune tube and groggily looking at her favorite blonde who was staring at her with his sky-blue eyes, seeming to waiting for her response. Naruto, I thought you will not return until tomorrow. She purposely asked with a cute smile on her lips, pretending to be innocent. Naruto could only sigh in defeated tone at hearing those words. Who said that? I said that. Right, Naruto half-heartedly said. Come on, you have to stay at your throne at least until noon. After that you can play your game to your heart content. But I do think playing alone is not fun at all. Care to reconsider making it public? We can change the war champion with the shinobi. Milim nodded her head and walked beside Naruto. I will not make it public. Because the game is made especially for me, right? I see, I'm sorry for saying such nonsense, Milim. It's okay, I know Naruto was thinking about me when saying that. Oh, I know, how about you play with me instead? It would be nice. If I do that, who will take care of the empire? How about this? I will be a proper empress and in return you have to play with me. How? Naruto stopped his move when Milim proposed that idea. He intently stared at her blue eyes. Are you sure about that? I thought you disliked playing empress. Milim let an embarrassed smile appear on her lips. She looked elsewhere, avoiding looking at Naruto. If that will make you agree to play with me, then I'm okay with it. I see. Naruto could not help but smile. If you can prove that you can become a good empress, then I will accompany you. Not only that, but I will do everything you asked me to. Are you sure? Yes. I then will be the best empress the world has never seen before. After a while, the two finally arrived to the throne room. Haku welcomed the two and guided them to the throne. Milim gracefully sat on the throne. As usual, Naruto and Haku stood by her right and left side. Not too long after, Marin had found her way kneeling before the three. Milim-sama, someone named Gelmud is asking permission to meet you, Your Majesty. He said something about legendary artifact or something alike. Shall we grant him permission to meet you? Ho! Did he say something about the disappearance of Veldora? No, Naruto-sama. Though he did mention about the meeting with the other demon lords. Ask him to tell you everything in detail and then force him to leave my empire. I don't like anyone setting foot in my land. Understood. Marin said in monotone voice and excused herself to fulfill her order. I thought that you would grant him permission to see you, Naruto said in wonder, though he seemed to be happy with Milim's response. I'm the Empress, and I have to show people my dignity. No? Letting just anyone to stand before me will not be good for my image. Besides, did not I look cool at the moment earlier? Naruto blinked in surprise. Did you just make a joke? Marriage. The people of the Empire had been whispering that word lately. It annoyed Milim to no end. Not because she disliked that word or something alike, but because they brought her name along with Naruto's when they're talking about that. To finally official Naruto-sama as our emperor, they said, or to help our empress confess her feeling, or something along those lines. It annoyed Milim because some of, perhaps all, their words were absolutely true. She loved Naruto. How could she not after so many years had passed and the many things they'd done together, and everything they had been through, not to mention Naruto liked to tease and flirting with her, sometime he even dared to seduce her, how could she not? But there was a glaring problem. This kind of feeling was new to Milim, and she was afraid that Naruto did not really feel the same as her. Perhaps it was a paranoid side of her, not because she did not confident with herself but her body was not gorgeous like Ascana. It was a common sense that men often preferred big-breasted women over someone like her. But she somehow convinced that Naruto was different. Even so, she was still afraid to let the blonde know. However, they had been kissing for numerous of times. It meant Naruto loved her too, right? Yes, that's right, Naruto loved her too. If not, then why would he bother showing so much affections toward her? The only sense thing was that Naruto loved her as well. The problem was, how to make the blonde admitted that he loved her? As awesome as she was, telling the blonde that she loved him was a feat even the mighty her could not handle. Not only it embarrassing but also she afraid if that was not true, and the feeling of rejection. She did not want to feel it. But if Naruto was the one who confessed first, she did not need to think of what if. And so, Milim averted her blue eyes to the blonde-haired man who's sitting right on her right side, seemingly lost in his own thought. Naruto? Naruto blinked his eyes when the soft tone of Milim invoked his ears. Yes, my dear Milim? What is love? That certainly was not something he expected coming from Milim's sexy mouth. He was genuinely surprised. Love, what about it, Milim? This is the first time in our hundreds years being together you ask me that. Have you finally realized that you have fallen in love with me? I want to understand it properly. Besides, I'm curious whether you have fallen in love with me. Your past actions were showing that you have fallen to the mighty me. That's the reason you kept pestering me to kiss you or stealing my kiss, no? Well, we have been through this conversation, right? Why you have to take responsibility for turning me into half Dragonids? With your blood runs through my vein, it is impossible for me to control my lust without feeling your warmth. Why you have to be grateful that I managed to control myself from him. Taking your innocence. Milim could not help herself from blushing. Technically what the blonde had said was true, even she could not control herself from the heat. She had never felt this kind of feeling before Naruto came to her life. The feeling that brought pleasure to her body whenever they were kissing, more so when Naruto massaging her. That's true, Milim finally said. However, there must be a reason why you managed to hold yourself, right, Naruto? You do love me, right? However, before Naruto managed to give the pink-haired girl his response, Haku had entered the room they currently in, with a little smile on her lips. I apologize for disturbing your special time, my lord Milim-sama. Hi Haku, what's up? The meeting place has been decided. The devil Jelmuto himself have just stopped by to inform Marin. It will be held in the late noon, Milim-sama. That's good. It has been long since I last go out. The previous devil named Jelmuto had promised a good show for Milim to watch. Naruto did not interest in the supposed show, however, Milim felt attracted to the devil's offer. As expected of Milim, if he did not know any better, he would say that the girl was indeed a child. Sighing, Naruto gave in. However, he would not let the girl left by herself. I think it is better if you don't go by yourself. I will make a special clone. You can take over it so there's no need to go there yourself. That sounds interesting. As expected of Naruto. Naruto let a little smile appear on his lips. Those sparkling irides of hers were so fascinated. He did not know what he would do if he didn't have a good self-control. Sighing, Naruto raised his right hand in a single seal, creating a clone that soon taking shape of Milim, cladded in imitation of Virgo cloth with eyes closed and no life detected. This clone worked like Pain's body. It could be controlled from afar away with using a rune that worked like the transmitter and receiver. Give me your palm. Milim happily offered her right hand to be held by the blonde, and soon he started making rune on her palm that was similar to the rune on the clone's palm. Just then the clone started moving its eyelids before finally revealing the blue irides that were similar to Milim's. Whoa! I can see my awesome mighty self! Yes, you can see everything the clones see, listen every words it hears, talk through its mouth, and even using it to fight. Whoa! Milim's eyes were shining like a star in the midnight sky. If I can control it without the need of thinking, then I can use it to replace me and at the same time play the game. Sadly, it is impossible to do that. Though I can use rune to program it so it can act on its own. However, I will never do that. Did not you say you want to be the best empress ever? Ahaha. I was joking. Really? Naruto gave the girl a deadpan, clearly saying he was not believing her. Milim was pouting when her words failed to convince Naruto. Anyway, it is lunchtime already. Let us see what Shni and Marin have prepared for us. Naruto said and grabbed Milim's right hand, forcing the girl to stand from the luxury sofa. You can join us as well, Haku, added Naruto while at the same time walking toward the door with Milim beside him, hand in hand. Yeah. Do we walking there, Naruto? Yes. But there are many people below, so it is. Embarrassing? Haku has watched us kissing before, right? Well, that's Haku. And it was not planned. Don't worry, you will get used to it. Besides, you are the great Milim, such little embarrassment would not enough to make you stop, no? Asked Naruto as he leant onto her left ear and whispered. About our previous conversation, we will talk about it some other time. Well, if you say it like that then. Let's go. Milim yelled and stormed the door, making Haku, who was watching the two from behind, smiled. Later on, somewhere hidden. A wide conference room. The room was shrouded in silence. Several shadows of men and women were sitting surrounding the large round meeting table. A large crystal sphere was nested in the middle of the table. From the lowest position of the seat near the entrance of the room, a man was casting some kind of spell towards the sphere. The man dressed as a clown. His name was Jelmuto. He was the one who was entrusted with this meeting, and also the person responsible for certain project. The project that he had worked for many years, and that project was to give birth to a new demon lord for the sake of his own ambition. The project must not end in failure. And then, it was finally the last day of the project. He succeeded in inviting the 4 whimsical demon lords, though the hardest was inviting the Empress of Minerva Empire. Thus, it had to succeed at all costs, because it's impossible to make the demon lords move with money. You would need things that attracted their interest, like a prey or a hard-to-obtain magic tools/artifacts. This time, Jelmuto succeeded in making the 4 demon lords moved. In other words, the compensation he paid was enough. When the time came for the birth of a new demon lord, the other demon lords would not stay silent. If a fool freely calling himself a demon lord, he or she would be killed because they invoked the demon lord's wrath. Moreover, if there was such person that managed to turn the table against an infuriated demon lord, such person would then be recognized as a demon lord. These past several hundreds of years, there was no such demon lord. The last-born demon lord, the human demon lord, Leon Cromwell, with his overwhelming magical power, he increased the number of mages he controlled and claimed himself as the demon lord of the frontier. In response, one of the demon lords, the cursed Lord Kazarium, who was furious with him, had waged war against Leon. But unfortunately for the cursed lord, Leon had managed to slay him instead. In response to the situation, the other demon lords recognized Leon as a new demon lord. But demon lord with such ability was not a common thing. Therefore, to claim a stranger as a demon lord, it was necessary to get the support of at least 3 or more demon lords. If you messed with the new demon lord, the supporting demon lords would become opponents at the same time. That was what to be expected. And following such procedures, for the sake of the birth of the new demon lord, Gelmuto became fired up because of his ambition. This time, to make the orc lord as demon lord would require one more step. For the bored demon lords, he prepared the stage for the birth of the demon lord as a spectacle. It was for them to have fun, which was one of the conditions for the support. Of course, it's not just that, he would also give them magic equipment and artifacts. For Gelmuto, this was a gamble of a lifetime. The orc lord had to eat the goblins and lizardmen to evolve as demon lord. Today was the day when it would all end. To become a demon lord and getting the support at the same time, one must devastate a human city. In doing so, it would become the news of the birth of a new demon lord. If such things happened, Gelmuto's ambition would be achieved. By manipulating the orc lord from shadow, he would be on equal standing with the other demon lords. And yet, there was no reaction from the crystal ball. Gelmuto became impatient. This was bad. He did not want to imagine what would happen if he offended the demon lord that were looking forward to the play. Despite how much he growled, the crystal ball was not projecting. There's nothing could be done. At this moment he wondered if he was going to become a minced meat. Even if he's not killed, he might be cursed to become a minced meat with only consciousness left. It's no use. He didn't want to imagine it anymore. Gelmuto hurriedly casted the spell again, but there was still no reaction from the crystal ball. "Hey, what are you doing?" A voice colder than ice echoed. The room turned silence. The intimidation was enough to disturb Gelmuto's spell. Gelmuto was panicking with sweat leaking all over. Please wait. I will determine the cause right away," yelled Gelmuto. His instinct was saying if he left it just like this then it would turn bad. However, creak! A sound of something that was creaking as if it was being squashed was heard. But no sooner than later, something big flew past by at high speed on Gelmuto's right side. It then crashed on the rear door with thunderous sound. One of the demon lord, a petite and beautiful light pink-haired girl clothed in gold armor, had just thrown the big round table with her left hand. It was without any skill, sheer physical strength alone. Are you treating me like a fool?" demanded the girl with a somewhat angry tone. Please forgive me. I will immediately confirm the cause myself." "Really?" asked the girl. Her tone had changed into a casual one. "Then make it quick. Since I'm being generous, I'm going to wait here." "Which parts of you are generous?" Though, he could not even afford the time to think about it. Gelmuto was trembling in fear. The door was destroyed by the table that flew outside, making the wall of the building shattered as well, leaving a big hole on the wall. Gelmuto did not waste any more time as he leapt outside from the hole on the wall and started chanting his flight movement spell. It was about a moment after Gelmuto left that the light pink-haired girl had made use of the devil eyes and projecting it through the water sphere she had created, letting the others to see it as well, of course without the devil knowing anything about it. "How fun!" the girl muttered. Her eyes and the others were fully on the screen. The flustered and irrational Gelmuto had not noticed the large gathering of high-class monsters, the Oni race. Once every few hundred years, an elderly ogre could evolve into one. Their ability unnaturally high, they were often said to be capable of crushing the heavens. And there were 3 of such Oni were present. Had he noticed, he would know that they weren't someone he could handle. And a fawn wolf that evolved strangely was also present. Judging by its appearance alone, it was at least an A-rank monster. Thus, 4 rank A+ monsters were present, and they belonged to a single child wearing a beautiful mask. The child was certainly not a normal person. "Who would have thought that Naruto would put such a good show?" exclaimed the girl happily. "Seriously, that monster, should we crush it? Or raise it?" another demon lord asked in a disbelieving tone. His eyes were fully on the screen which showing Naruto being toyed by the child. "No getting a head start," one of the male demon lords responded. "Though negotiating to make it a servant is allowed." "Hey, about this, can we keep it a secret among the 4 of us? It has been long since we got something to kill our boredom with, well, with the exception of the Empress, who has her own amusement, of course." The real purpose was, of course, to gain a trump card against the absent demon lords. That's how highly they valued that monster who disguised himself as a child with a beautiful mask. Should that monster selfishly proclaim himself as a demon lord, they were sure to immediately lose interest and eliminate him/her. However, that time had yet to come. Thus, the 4, likely 3, because they were all understood that the Empress had no interest with making the monster a servant, she had many of it already, nodded and formed a new coalition. Had the demon lords move at this time, Rimura's fate then would be very different. Later, Jura Forest. As soon as the child finished eating the orc disaster, Milim had immediately left the meetings building and heading straight toward Jura Forest. A pair of dragon wings were majestically flapping behind her back, increasing her already great speed to that supersonic level. Her eyes were glittering in excitement. It was the first time in her so long life watching many strong monsters serving a single slime. It took not long to reach the forest with her speed. But Milim could not find that slime among the monsters, nor was she found those A+ monsters. Groaning, she sharpened her eyes to look for the target, and soon she caught sight of that child of a slime with its follower above the nearby hill. She wasted no time as she shot toward those monsters. Boom! Milim strongly landed a few feet before those monsters. They seemed to be aware of her arrival. Milim let a little smile appear on her thin lips and walked out of the crater. The wings were no longer on her back. "Who are you?" the red-haired Oni asked. The rest seemed to be ready to engage should she try something funny. However, Milim did not say anything. She kept walking toward them with a little smile making those Oni tensed. "Don't move!" "It's okay, Benimaru," the child slime said as it walked and standing before its follower. "She doesn't seem to be hostile." Milim ignored their interaction and walked further ahead before she finally stopped a few feet away before the slime that had taken form of, probably, a little girl. "Ieto, what can I do for you?" the little girl asked. "What is your name?" asked Milim. Her eyes were fully on hers. "My name is Rimuru, Rimura Tempest. May I know yours?" "Ho ho ho, you have a good name, but my name is far better than yours." "Oh, okay, so, what is your name?" "I'm Demon Lord Milim Nava, how? Cool, right?" "Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. Well then, we have to go. Excuse us, Demon Lord Milim Nava." Milim watched as Rimuru and her follower walked past her, making her blink her eyes before hastily turning around asking the girl to wait. "What? Why? Poof." Milim blinked her eyes for a few times before sheepishly shifting her eyes toward the blonde who was standing with his hands on his chest. Deceiving Naruto was not an easy task. She had tried multiple times and every one ended up in failure. And this time was no different. However, she did not give up yet. "And Naruto, the clone was on her way, so you should have not dismissed it." "Oh, is that so?" "Why, yes. I planned on cooking a special ramen for lunch and dinner, but it seems I will change the menu." Milim's eyes were widening in horror. "No, don't!" she yelled and half-heartedly sighed. "Okay, the clone was not on its way, it was in Jura Forest. So will you make me ramen?" "That's my Milim. Come, let us visit your shrine first before we return to our residence." 3 months later. The conference room looked the same as always, however, there's a small differentiation compared to the usual. The number of the chair that surrounded the round table had increased. It were now consisting of 26 chairs. It was the first time for Milim to participate in the meeting. Actually, she was not needed in the monthly meeting like this since this was Naruto's council. However, due to Milim's change of heart to be the best empress in existence, so now this council was Milim's. Naruto would minimalize his role to that of the actual prime minister. He would assist Milim in her reign of becoming the best empress. It is nice to see you again, more so with Milim finally decided to involve herself in the empire's affair. In response to Milim's desire, this council is no longer mine. We are all Milim's council from now on forward. Now then, Your Majesty, you can begin. Of course, not Prime Minister Naruto. Now then, my ministers and counselors, I want to listen to everything you have done so far. You will begin explaining, Escana, and Fludel will start after you done, and so on. Hi, Your Majesty, Escana said and stood up. I will begin with the statistic of the people who lives in capital. Until a week ago, the number of people who lives here has reached 4 millions. Halves of them are between 15 to 30 years old, and the rest are children with number below 500,000 and followed by people above 30 years old. That is without including the police who are stationed inside the capital. I will not reporting about the people's prosperity because it is the Ministry of Economic and Prosperity to report, and so I will move forward toward the current project we the capital's government handle, capital's railways. Otherworld's industry has finally succeeded on creating the magical transportation called Mac Train. So far they have managed to finish 5 of it. The railways that connect all around the capital will hopefully finish before the month ends. Only then the people of the capital can travel from the capital corner to another with ease and in a short time. We have discussed it with the Ministry of Technology and Industry along with the viceroys of all the 10 cities to start building railways that will connect the cities and the capital. Further detail will be delivered by the Minister of the Ministry of Technology and Industry, and so I will continue about the problem we have faced so far. Escana paused as she inhaled and exhaled before continuing her report. Milim's eyes had lost its light. Her mind was suddenly overwhelmed by all-consuming blankness. She did not know what the woman had just said, nor was she followed the woman's explanation. She had stopped following her words the moment she began explaining the railways. She did not know anything about what she had said. It's true that Naruto had explained everything to her night prior, but she forgot about that. In the end, when Escana finished explaining her report, Milim could only smile and muttered, "Oh, good job, Escana. You have done well, I'm so proud of you. I'm not worthy of such praise, but thank you so much for your kind words, Your Majesty. Now Fludel, you can begin." An old man beside Escana nodded his head and stood up. He bowed his head to both Milim and Naruto before began his report. I will be reporting on behalf of Ministry of Education and Entertainment. I will begin with Education Department. There are 11 night and mage academies in total, each located in each city. The biggest is of course the one located in the capital, Namaki Night and Mage Academy. We are recruiting 100 students in a year, but the one in the capital is about 200. Ever since the academy was founded, we have 36,000 alumnus in total. Among them, about 80% decided to join the Manava's police while the rest were opting to be an adventurer. But this year will hopefully different. We have been working along with Konan-sama to increase the possibility of the students to be able to join the UMBU. So far, from the 11 academies, we have filtered 20 of the students who may pass the test of becoming an UMBU. Also, we have been working on creating a festival for the students. This festival has 2 purposes. First, of course, to present an entertainment for Her Majesty, while the second is to create a rivalry among the academies. It has been fixed that we will starting the festival before the year ends. Hopefully Her Majesty will be able to attend. So far we don't have any problem that halting our process, and so I will be moving on the entertainment department. The old man paused as he lifted up the paper on his hand, changing it with the entertainment part. As Fludel continued reporting, Milim's eyes were half opened, her face had turned into a blank expression. Naruto, who was sitting on a chair on Milim's right side, could only smile as he watched her with his corner eyes. He had no doubt that his empress did not pay more attention to the minister, Perhaps she was lost in her daydreaming while at the same time maintaining her blank expression. Her half-opened eyes were no doubt showing she was deeply thinking while in truth she's not. Though he had to give the girl credit with her ability to praise the minister when he finished reporting, although with a bit stuttered voice. The next one who would give report was Hernandez. He was the Minister of Ministry of Economic and Prosperity. After him was a woman named Eliska. She was one of the 3 otherworlders in the room. She was the Minister of Ministry of Outworlder. Naruto had specially made that ministry to compete with the Eastern Empire to attract more otherworlders to side with Milim's empire. It was not easy to gather them, more so with the fact that Minerva Empire did not have any international relationship with the other countries/kingdoms/empire. They were neutral like the Dwarf Kingdom. So far, there were only 27 otherworlders here in Minerva Empire, lesser than the ones lived in the Western Empire. It took a while for all the counselors to finish their report, and longer time needed to solve the problem with a proper solution. When the counselors asked Milim her opinion, Milim fast at offering the best response she could muster. "Naruto will give you the best solution." She said that with much confidence and a big smile, seemingly having figured the best way to lead the meeting, namely, relying on Naruto. As expected of Milim, and thus, despite Naruto's effort to minimalize his role, he ended up doing everything on the girl's behalf. Was not he supposed to assist the girl and not doing everything for her? What was the point of her being the head of the council if he was still doing everything? Though, despite his, inwardly, protest, he did not denying her words. At least Milim had managed to stand this boring meeting, and perhaps soon she would be better at handling this kind of meeting. And so, again, Naruto gave the best solutions he could think of, and some of them with the help of Escana, who was his most competent subordinate. The meeting finally ended right before the lunch time, and the counselors had left the conference room, leaving Naruto alone with Milim. However, they did not leave without leaving a glaring question that managed to shade Milim's cheeks with pink color, Naruto's cheeks too to some degree. "When will Naruto-sama marry Milim-sama?" was that surprising question. "Naruto," started Milim after a moment of silence. Her eyes were fully on his. "You are my prime minister and I'm your empress, right?" That certainly piqued Naruto's interest. "Yes, what of it then, my dear Milim? I can command you to do as I please, right?" Naruto now knew what Milim would command him to do. He had no doubt that was something related to the question left unanswered by the people before. Sighing, Naruto decided to play along with the reluctant-looking Milim. "That is technically true. You can command me to do as you please. But Milim, it hurt me that you see me as a mere subordinate. I don't have any value to you, huh? Did it mean that all things we have been through together were only for fun to you? I thought I mean something special to you." "No! It's not like that!" yelled Milim. Her face was showing her utmost denial toward what had he just said. "Naruto has always been someone important to me. Seeing you as my subordinate have never crossed my mind. It is quite the opposite. I see you as my closest friend, as someone I cherish and love dearly." "So you finally admit that you love me, Milim? Took you long enough. I've been waiting such words coming out of your mouth for hundreds of years now." Milim's eyes widened in realization. Naruto had taken advantage of her earlier words to make her confess. It should go another way around. The one who should confess was Naruto, not her. He had manipulated her. How cruel! "Oh, Milim," said Naruto with a mischievous smile as he pulled the girl into his embrace. "Don't be shy. I love you as much as you love me, my dear Milim, maybe more." "You are cruel, Naruto," said Milim as she tightened her hands around Naruto's body. "How could you say all those words just to make me confess?" "I'm not cruel, Milim, you are." "Which part of me is cruel?" "You are the cruel one here by doubting my feeling and use that to force me expressing it." "Then tell me, what will you command me to do when you ask that question?" "You that is Yeto. I want. HM? You are going to use the Empire Monarchy to force me to confess, no?" "No." No? So what?" Milim paused and buried her embarrassed face deeply on Naruto's chest. "I want to ask you to, marry me." Milim's stuttered yet honest voice managed to surprise Naruto. The surprised expression lasted not long as a little yet happy smile appeared on his lips. Naruto tightened his embrace and put his chin above Milim's head. I should be the one to ask you that, Milim, not another way around. So, does that mean you agree on marrying me? No, the one who agrees on marrying me are you, no? I guess you're right. Naruto's smile grew wider as he kissed Milim's head. Milim too was smiling, enjoying the affection the blonde giving. The two were content with the silence that accompanied their moment, before Naruto finally decided to have a special lunch just for the two of them. Thus, they disappeared from the conference room and appeared on the top of the castle. Naruto let Milim off of his embrace and raised his hand in a ram's seal, a wooden table with 2 chairs coming into existence soon after. It was followed by the cloud which suddenly moved to block the sunlight that raining the castle. Naruto let a satisfied smile and guided Milim to sit on one of the chairs. He then sat on another chair on the opposite side of Milim and offered her his most charming smile he could muster. I have created a clone to prepare the lunch. In the meantime, let us discuss our marriage. Chapter end. Tired of watching censored fanfics? Would you like to watch some very naughty, filled with the lemons fanfics without any censorship? I'm happy to announce that I opened Patreon page for you guys, where you could watch Naruto/Deku 18+ stories without any censoring. Not only that, you can also see the NSFW images of characters of the fics on my Patreon, which I make by myself. So buy your preferred tier and join our community now. Link is in the description.